ODC, off-the-chain kickball, balls and strikes. At the moment, we're going to talk about balls and strikes for ODC League. The first thing that we have to remember is when the pitcher releases the ball from inside the circle, which we'll discuss later, the ball must bounce twice, at least twice, before reaching the plate. If the second hit hits the plate, then that is an illegal pitch. Twice before hitting the plate in order to be legal. All right, the strike zone. The strike zone consists of 12 inches to each side of 18-inch plate. All right, so we have a strike zone that's here. All this encompasses a strike zone. When you have a ball that's a strike, it's real simple. 2 bounces before reaching the plate and goes through the strike zone without going more than 12 inches, which is the height of the ball, more than 12 inches above the ground. Like I said, the ball goes 12 inches in the air or less and goes through the strike zone, that will be considered a strike. A couple other things that you can have for strikes and that will happen for strikes, and a lot of players don't realize this, is any part of the ball can go over the strike zone. So if the ball comes here and lands here, the circumference of the ball is in the strike zone. That is a strike. We have advanced pitchers that now when they throw curveballs, the ball will hit here and land here. That was a strike. It went through the strike zone. Both sides. That would be a strike. Went through the strike zone, less than 12 inches, bounced twice, at least twice, before going through the strike zone. What is not a strike is when they throw a curve that lands here and comes through what we consider a back door. That is not a strike. All right, so that encompasses the strike in ODC. Everything outside of that would be considered a ball. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the positioning of the catchers during the play. Most kickers will line up on this side of the plate. Some kickers will line up straight on the plate. For the purpose of this demonstration, DJ, I need you. For the purpose of this demonstration, we will assume that the kicker is lined up here. When the kicker lines up to go to kick, the catcher, the catcher cannot be in front of the kicker when she kicks the ball. When she makes contact with the ball, she can't be in front of her. So she can start off in front of her, but she can't be in front of her when she makes contact. All right, so as you see, ODC has implemented a line that tells us, kind of helps us with determining where the catcher is at the time of the kick, because most kickers will kick the ball at the plate. All right, so if the kicker runs up, the kicker runs up to kick the ball and kicks the ball from here and the catcher is there, then we will have a violation because she was in front of her when she made contact with the kick. If the kicker kicks the ball from back here and the catcher has lined up in front of her, then we also would have a violation because the catcher again is in front of her when she kicks the ball. So the key is that the catcher cannot be in front of her when she makes contact with the ball. When she makes contact with the ball, it's when she can't be in front of her. She can line up anywhere she wants to as long as she cannot touch the kicker or be in the path of the kicker as she goes to kick the ball. So if there's a ball kicked over here and that kicker wants to kick that ball and that catcher's in front of her, then it's going to be interference. She's going to automatically be awarded first base. Somebody's phone. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So that demonstrates the kicker. What I'm going to do for the moment is I'm going to use Miss ODC to come in and demonstrate being the kicker for us. For the purpose of this, we're going to have Miss ODC, TJ, be our kicker. I will be the catcher. Most catchers will line up here in this manner. As TJ comes up to the plate to kick the ball, when she kicks the ball, if I'm in this position, I'm legal. It's easy for me to determine, usually, when the catcher's illegal because, come up to kick the ball, the catcher is looking back. If the catcher's looking back at her, then she has to be in front of her. And that's usually what we as the officials use to determine, because I'll be standing on this side and I can see the catcher looking back as she kicks the ball for 99% of the time. Okay? Thank you for that demonstration, Mr. J. All right, a couple other violations that we have. We're going to talk about the kicker violations. All right, the kicker in our league, the kicker cannot step across the plate and make contact. The plant foot cannot go across the plate and make contact. All right. Also, the kicker cannot kick the ball above the knee. The knee itself is legal. If it hits above the knee, that is a legal kick. Okay? Double kicks. A double kick is whenever the ball hits the kicker twice before hitting the ground. So if it hits her twice without hitting the ground in any part of her body, that's considered a double kick. A double kick that's made in foul territory would be a foul. So if I kick the ball here and it comes up to my knee and I'm still in foul territory, then we're going to have time and we're going to have a foul ball. If it's a double kick and the second contact is made in fair territory, then that person is out. So if I come here, I jump, I kick the ball, it comes up my leg and hits me, I'm in front of the plate. I'm in fair territory. That person will be out. All right? So those are the things that are violations in ODC as far as kicking the ball. Now, what happens a lot of times is the advanced kickers, they jump in the air to kick the ball. Where their plant foot was here last. TJ, roll me the ball from right there, right behind him. I know how to do it. He can hit it anyway. Put a little bit, go on that side, and just roll it right here. Put a little bit of speed on it. They jump here and kick the ball. So we see them, the coaches see them in fair territory and they make contact. But they plant foot last touch behind the plate, which made it legal. Do it one more time for me, a little bit slower. Just a little bit slower. Their plant foot was in fair behind the plate, even though their contact foot was in fair territory. So that is a legal kick. That's one of the complaints we get a lot from the coaches, saying that they were in fair territory and they kicked the ball. The last touch on the plate. Also, I didn't address it, is any part of the foot, as long as any part of the foot is touching the plate, it's legal. You have to be completely in front of the plate in order to be illegal. All right? Fair and foul. One of the biggest problems we have is fair foul calls in ODC. In all kickball, in all sports really. All right? We're going to talk about what's a fair ball, what's a foul ball. The ball, for a ball to be fouled, a few things must happen. First, the ball must be touched in foul territory. So if the ball is in foul territory and it's touched, it's automatically a foul ball. The ball comes to rest in foul territory, it's automatically a foul ball. The ball, and this is in front of, these are the foul situations before reaching first and third. I need to indicate that first. These are how balls become foul before reaching first and third. Okay? Before reaching the bases. So again, the ball being touched before reaching first or third base in foul territory is a foul. The ball coming to rest in foul territory before is a foul. The ball touching something or someone in foul territory. So I could have a runner on third, she's coming in foul territory, running up, and the ball touches her. The ball touches that runner, but that runner's in foul territory, that's a foul ball. That's not an out. That's a foul ball. If she was in fair territory, then it would be an out. That runner would be out, and all play would stop. All right? So we have the ball coming to rest, the ball being touched, the ball touches someone else, or the ball goes past first and third in foul territory. All right? If any of those things happen, then that's a foul ball. What happens in ODC a lot is the ball will roll in foul territory and come back in before and be touched or come to rest, or it will be in fair territory and then come out and be touched or come to rest. Wherever the ball is at determines if it's fair or foul. It is not where the player is at. So if the ball is here and the player is here and they touch the ball, we have a foul ball. Vice versa, if the ball is here and the player is here and they touch the ball is in fair territory, we have a fair ball. All right, so we have to understand that it's where the ball is at, never where the player is at. Now, foul balls in the air are past first and third. It's really simple. If the ball is in foul territory when touched, it's foul. In the air or not in the air. The ball is in fair territory and it's touched, it's fair. Very simple. It's never where the player is at, it's always where the ball is at. So that's how we determine fair and foul in ODC. Okay? So the ball can roll from foul into fair. And if it wasn't touched, then it's going to be a fair ball. Incident that we have a lot is a ball being kicked for fair and foul judgment, a ball being kicked, rolling or bouncing in this manner, and then the ball comes in foul over and lands here. Okay? If the ball goes over this base, any part of this base, and it has now been determined that was fair at that moment, soon it went across that area. Okay? Obviously, that's going to be a judgment on the umpire. Okay? But if it comes across, even though it lands here, it's going to be a fair ball. It's similar to the strike, how the ball can go through the strike zone. Well, this is the fair zone. Okay? If it comes here and does this and comes back, well, it was in foul territory when it got to the front of third base, it will be a foul, even though it came back in, but it came in behind the base. And players, that these mats are not the plate. This is the plate. If you have a forced play at the plate, you must have your foot on this. If you have your foot touching this or this, then you are not on the plate. Runners, when you come across, you must touch this plate in order to be considered have touched the base. If you do not touch that, you touch the mats and come across, and they touch you or ask for appeal on that play, then you'll be out. All right? So you must touch this in order to be considered the plate. These are just here for the strike zone. Okay? Okay, for safety reasons, we ask coaches, you need to teach your coaches that the catchers need to be up here on a forced play, out of the way of the runner that's going by, okay? And they must be touching this plate. All right? If they're standing here doing that, that's not any good. On the plate and out of the way at the same time. Give enough room for that person to run by, slide by, whatever the case might be. Safety is always the first thing that we want at ODC, okay? So safety reasons, we need to do that. We need to also do it on all the bases. Make sure all the bases that we are in front and give enough room for the runner to get by, okay? Okay, a pitching circle. We all, in case you don't realize, we had a lot of rain, so we had to come on the grass to do this demonstration, but you get the gist of what I'm talking about. This is a circle here that we've put down in the grass, and I'm going around the outside of the circle for you so you can see. This is the pitching circle, okay? When the pitcher pitches the ball, a couple things must happen. First, pitcher realize you can throw the ball any way you want to throw the ball in ODC. You can bounce it, you can throw curves here, you want to throw behind your back, anything you want to do, you can do in ODC. But there are a couple restrictions. The restrictions are you have to have at least 1 foot inside the circle. On the line is considered inside the circle. So at least 1 foot has to be inside the circle, and you cannot come across the restraining line. You cannot go across the restraining line. You cannot pitch the ball, step across the restraining line, and then come back. You cannot come across the restraining line until the ball has been kicked. Once the ball has been kicked, now you can go across the restraining line. No defenders can go across the restraining line until the ball has been kicked. Okay? So for pitching, remember, again, in the circle, at least 1 foot, however you want to pitch the ball, doesn't matter, and cannot go across the restraining line. Anything else would be considered legal. If I'm the pitcher, and I'm in the circle, and I'm ready to pitch, and the coach has not brought the kicker up yet, and the coach has not requested the timeout, the umpire will simply say pitch. If you pitch the ball, that ball is an automatic strike. Don't make a difference where you pitch it, because the runner, the kicker, wasn't ready. Okay, so when I pitch that ball, if it goes off to the left or to the right, then coaches, that will be an automatic strike. You must get your players up to the plate and ready to kick. Now, if that player is coming up or in the process of coming up, then the official's gonna wait. But if you're standing there holding that player up, or the player don't know it's their turn to kick and they're in the dugout, then you're gonna be penalized if they pitch the ball. So pitchers, is very important for you to have the ball, be ready, and when I say pitch, for you to pitch the ball, okay? Also, ODC runners. As you can see, we have a safety bag that's on the outside of first base. That safety bag is exactly what it says, for safety purposes. If there is a play at that base, and what defines a play is, I've got an offensive player, a defensive player, and a ball. And really, all I need is an offensive player and a ball. If I have an offensive player and a ball, we have a play there. Okay? So what's going to happen is, again, we talked about it earlier, first baseman, all fielders, you must give enough room for the runners to get by on the bases. At first base, you have a little more leniency because of throws where we give you a little extra room. So that's where the safety bag comes in for the runners. The runners must touch that outside safety bag as they go across if that person is coming to or standing on the base. So as I go by, I must touch this bag as I go by. If I touch this bag while there's a person standing there, then I am automatically out. Doesn't matter if I beat the ball or not, I'm automatically out. It's a safety issue that we have, and that's one of the rules that we have in ODC. So you must touch this bag. Now runners, once you touch this bag, if you want to continue to go, then you can continue to turn. Just because you touch this bag doesn't mean you have to stop or go back to that bag. You can continue to run if you have a case where there's a single or double or anything else. If there's a lone kick and there's nobody on the base, you can touch either bag, either plate, or either bag. Yeah, I said it correct. Either bag. So if you're going for a triple, there's nobody standing on first, you can touch either bag you want to touch as you go by. Both of them are legal. Okay? Now, if you go past the bag and come back, you'll now have to come back to this bag. You can't go back to the safety bag. This is now the bag you have to go back to. And this is your starting point if you're going to run to the next base. All right? Now, we've implemented a rule in ODC for, I shouldn't put that in now, should I? Mm-hmm. I should? Mm-hmm. Okay. We implement a rule at first base. We're going to have a line 10 foot from the foul line where it's going to determine if you can still advance or not. We're going to call it the advance line. Okay? If the pitcher has the ball before you reach that advance line, then you have to return. If you reach the advance line and the pitcher doesn't have the ball, you can continue. You don't have to continue. You can continue if you wish. So if I come around the base and I'm coming this direction and the pitcher gets the ball before I get to this point here, then we're going to send you back. But if you reach this point and the ball is still in the air and the pitcher hasn't gained control of the ball, and you reach this point and you want to continue, then you will be legal to continue. All right? So that is a rule that we implemented for this upcoming season. You must realize that, coaches. Please realize the official can see the line a lot easier. It's far enough from the plate where it's not a matter of one step or two steps. And now it is an advancement. Now, that's also going to nullify, have to nullify the turning in portion. So if they turn in this way and come back, then we're going to have to let that be legal because they didn't go past that line. You're not going to have both of them where they can turn in and get them to turn in, and we give them a line where they can't advance. So now if I come down this line and I do this number and I just come back to the base, that's not going to be considered an attempt. We're going to bring them back to that base and we're going to put them on that base. Okay? Out. There are a couple ways we can get out. Of course, we can catch the ball. Let's say we have a ball that hit to the pitcher or one of the defensive players. They throw the ball to the first baseman. First baseman has a foot on the bag. They catch the ball. Obviously, that's an out. Another way of getting out in the kickball is for the ball to hit the runner while the runner isn't on base. So we could be throwing the first and hits her before she get there, or she could be going around and it hits her. The defensive player is throwing the ball and it hit her. If the ball hits her above the shoulders, the neck or the head area, then that is illegal. The ball hits her above the shoulders, that is illegal. Coaches, it's very important for you to watch the umpire when you think the ball is hitting them in that area, because the umpire will simply give a safe sign. Okay? So we may yell out, but we may not, but we're going to simply give a safe sign, letting that person know, letting everyone know that that was an illegal hit and that person is not out. If it hits them below the shoulders and you have a question, then the umpire is going to simply give you an out sign. saying, hey, it was below the shoulders. In our judgment, that person's out. All right? So we have those. We have force outs. And a force out is simply that runner has to run to the next base because she was forced by another runner. So whenever we have that scenario, it's usually a runner on first or first and second, and the ball is hit on the ground. Once the ball was hit on the ground, those runners were forced because the kicker has to run to first base. So now that runner from first has to run to second, and there was a runner on second, they have to run to third. Okay? You can simply catch the ball and touch the base in order to get it out. For some reason, a lot of coaches teach them to catch the ball and to touch them. If that's what you want to teach, that's fine. But it would be better to teach them what the difference is in a force and not a force. Catch the ball, have your foot on the base, and continue to your next play. Would be the simplest way to do that. That is a force out. Again, don't forget, if you're going to ball was hit in the air in that same scenario, the runner must tag up before they can advance. If you're off the base and then the ball is kicked in the air and they catch it, you must go back to the base and touch before you can advance. You must go back to the base, touch that base, and then proceed before you can advance. If you just take off, then now you're in the appeal process. The coaches must appeal that play, send the runner left early. Simply go time, hey, umpire, Mr. Umpire, the runner left early. That's all you have to say. You don't have to touch the base. You don't have to tag them. All you got to do is say, hey, time, I want to appeal what runner and at what base. I want to appeal the runner at second base leaving early. Okay, you can't say I want to appeal, I got bases loaded. I want to appeal the runners leaving early. Tell me which one. If there was more than one, then go through the process. I want to appeal the runner at second leaving early, she's out. I want to also appeal the runner at first leaving early, she's safe. Okay, go through the process, let us know exactly which one you want and what base you're talking about. Okay, all right. Next thing we're going to talk about is advancing on bases and the first touch. It's really simple. As soon as the ball touches a defensive player, if the runner is on the base, already tagged up on the base, the runner can advance as soon as it touches. So if the ball's in the air, touch, they can run at that moment. As soon as it touches them, they can run. They'll make a difference if it touches and somebody else catches it. As soon as it touched them, they were legal to run. Okay? If somebody else catches it, don't go, well, they caught the ball afterwards. Okay? It doesn't matter. As soon as the ball is touched by any defensive player or touch any part of their body, you can go to catch it, it can hit your shoulder, it can come down, hit you in the head. Any part of your defensive player, it touches them, their leg, their foot, because it can hit your knee and go up in the air and now somebody else catch it. Anytime it touches any defensive player, that runner is now legal to run. Okay? First touch. Okay. All right, another rule that we implemented in ODC is we're going to implement intentionally throwing at their feet. If you intentionally throw at a runner's foot, it's going to be, that runner's going to be safe if you intentionally throw at their foot. Okay? If we happen to have it twice, then we're going to may have an ejection, but we're going to have a warning on the first one, the runner will be safe, and then we'll talk to the coaches and talk to the players because of safety issues and make sure that we don't have that problem again. But if that same player happens to throw another person's foot and we feel that both of them were intentional, now we've got something malicious going on, then we're going to have an ejection. Okay? Always going to be safety first in Capital City. All right? Another thing, runners sliding. We talked about runners getting hit above the shoulder and the head. The only time you can be hit above the shoulder in the head area is if you're sliding or you lower your head and that's where the contact happens, after you load your head, you're sliding. For example, if I'm running here and I see the ball coming and I try to duck, it hits me in the head, that would be legal. If I'm running to the base and I slide and the ball hits me in my head, my face, my shoulder area, that will also be legal. Okay, and if those happen before you reach the base, then you'll be out in those occasions. All right? Okay, defensive players, coaches. In ODC, you allow 11 players on the field to play defense. 11 players. Of course, one is your catcher. That gives you 10 players in the field. All right? No defensive player can be in front of the line until the ball has been kicked. You can step on the line, be on the line, but if you come in front of the line before the ball is kicked, that's encroachment. Outfielders. If you have 11 players on the field, you must have at least 4 outfielders. The outfielders will be, well, in the grass area on the fields, right? On a field such as this, if we're playing on grass for some reason, then they must be at least 12 feet behind the bases. At least 12 feet beyond the bases, right? The catcher, we talked about the position of the catcher. So that just talks about all the positions on defense. Now, if you have 11 players or 10 players, you must have 4 outfielders. If for some reason you have only 9 players or 8 players, then you can have 3 outfielders in ODC. You must have at least 8 players in order to play the game. 8 players minimum on your team in order to play. If you have 8 or 9 players, again, only 3 have to be in outfield. 10 or 11 players, 4 have to be in outfield minimum. If you want to put more players in outfield, you can. But that is the minimum amount of players that have to be in outfield. All right, I'm going to obstruction. All right, obstruction. That's one of the biggest things that we have a problem with in ODC, obstruction. All right, first off, if you're on defense, do not line up or start off in the base path. That means the path that the runner will be taking from one base to another. You cannot start off standing in that base path before the ball is kicked. All right? Once the ball is kicked, if you're not making a play, you cannot be in the base path. One of the most common things that happen is the first baseman will be standing in this position or starting position, and the ball is kicked to the outfield or kicked through. When the ball is kicked through, the first baseman turns and watches. Now, when the runner comes to turn, the first baseman is in her base path. Now, I'm going to explain base path to you a little more. Base path is the direction that you take in order to get to the next base. There's not a straight line. From here to here is not automatically a base path. If I'm standing on this base, then this is my base path. If I'm running and I come around the base, then all of this is my base path. This is a natural way that you will go to the next base. So all this is my base path. I can come all out here. There's no rule stating where you can go and can't go when you're running the bases. All it states is where you start from to going to a path to get to the next base. So if I'm on the base, then of course I will run straight here. I wouldn't run way out. If I'm running to the next base, then I can take whatever circular motion I want to, whatever angle I want to, in order to get to that base. If the defender is in that path, and we feel that the runner wasn't doing anything to try to run over to get to cause an obstruction, then the defender is in the wrong. Okay? So you have obstruction at that time. Simply what's going to happen is, myself as the umpire, when I see the obstruction, I'm going to point and say obstruction and let the play continue. It's what we call a delayed dead ball. Okay? On the obstruction, basically that runner is going to be guaranteed the next base in ODC. Okay? If you're doing another sport, baseball or something, then it's not quite that simple. But to make it simple for ODC, we're going to simply guarantee that runner the next base. But they must go to that base. So if I call obstruction and they get knocked down, let's say a runner comes around, runs to the first baseman, falls on the ground, I go obstruction, she gets up and goes back to first and she stays there when the play's ended, she won't get second base. All right? But if she falls down, gets knocked down, gets up, I call obstruction, she wipes herself off, I don't care if she starts walking to go to second base. We're going to give her second base because the defense was in the wrong. All right? Same thing for any other base. All right? The next base. Before, it was the base that you were going to. So in the game, the championship game we had in the spring, we had a play where the runner was going back to third and she got obstructed and we put her back on third. We're giving you the next base. We started that over the summer, and I don't think that we said that in the training clinic, but I don't think every coach has gotten that. So hopefully when you see this, you'll know. Automatically gonna get the next base now. All right? So that's what we're gonna have for obstruction. Interference. Interference is anytime the offensive player does something to prevent the defensive player from making a play. Okay? Remember one thing. On a kicked ball, the defense always has the right of way. So normally what happens is the first baseman stands here, the ball is kicked down the first baseline, there's a runner on first. As the first baseman comes up to get the play, now this runner interferes with her, making an attempt. Even though she came across what would be your base path, the defensive player has the right of way. The ball's kicked in the air. I come here to get underneath the ball. The offensive player must go around. The defensive player has the right of way on a kicked ball, not a thrown ball, a kicked ball. You have to remember that. The defense always has the right of way on a kicked ball. So the offensive player must avoid. If the defensive player comes up, offensive player comes into her, even though this is her base path, we have interference. We have interference. A common interference that I see in kickball is the person goes to tag them and the runner hits the ball. Now you're preventing the defensive player from making another play. That is interference. I don't care if you knock it out of her hand, we're going to get interference. If you don't knock it out of her hand, we're going to make a judgment on if we felt that you prevented her from making another play or not. But if you knock it out of her hand, it's clearly interference. Anytime we have interference, all runners will go back to where they were when the ball was pitched. So if I have a runner that was on first and they went past second and went all the way to third, and the interference occurred when they was almost at third by a runner, let's say another runner was going to the plate, she caused interference, and that runner was going in the third, that runner's coming back to first. All runners go to where they were at the time of pitch. I mean, when they pitched that play, when that play started, that specific play started, wherever you were, that's where you're going back to if there's an interference by the offense during that play. And the person who commits the interference is automatically out. We understand. Just real simple, right? Okay, base coaches are allowed, you allow two offensive coaches. Base coaches are allowed to stand near the base. But of course, any good base coach is not going to stand right here in order to tell their runners to advance because they can't see the play at that time. They're going to come down this direction and come as far as they can down the line so that they can get the runner the best advantage that they can to either keep going or going back. Because the play might be there and it might be, I need to be at this position or determine if I want them to keep going or not. Okay, but what happens sometimes is we assist the runner. So the runner comes along, you want them to stop, you reach out and touch them. Now you've got interference. It's a dead ball interference. That runner's out immediately, but we let the defense continue to play. What we're going to happen is the umpire's going to say she's out, and we're going to let the play continue because the defense has the right to try to get more outs. The coach made the problem, but we're not going to stop the defense from getting as many outs as they can on that play. So you can't touch the player at all. The player comes along, you want to get back, you grab them, you touch them. That's coaches. You assisted them. We got a problem. That runner's out. Okay. What happens a lot of times is you stand here, and the runner comes around, and you might get a stop sign, but they don't stop. They keep going. Now, as they come by, you grab them or you touch them. Okay? So you need to train your runners to tell them what you're going to do and how you're going to do it, but you cannot assist them in any manner. Now, if that runner is stumbling, they slid in to the base, and you know they ran into another defender. The play is basically over, and they falling along, and you reach down and catch them. We're not going to do that. We won't safety. Only if you're trying to catch them. If you're reaching down to bend over to catch them, then we don't want you to just let that person fall on their face or something. So we don't have a problem with you assisting in that manner. But other than that, other than trying to catch a runner or prevent an injury, then if you touch that runner, then that's assistance. First base, third base, where the coaches are at, those are obviously the locations where we'll have this problem. We have, in ODC, we have a 1 hour time limit in the games, 55 minutes, no new inning can start at 5 minutes till. So basically, 55-minute mark on game time, no new inning can start. All right, we have so many games that we play in ODC, that's why we have that. You have a grace period of the first game of the day only of 10 minutes. All right, 5 innings. 5 innings. At the end of the game, at the end of 5 innings, if the game is tied, then we do what we call the California rule. California rule is we take the last person who kicked, the last person that came up and kicked, we take them, we put them on second base. That means that basically we still stand in the kicking order. So whoever been kicking next is going to stay kicking. And the person who will kick in front of them will go on second base. It's real simple. All right? You've got one out, a runner on second, and every kicker that comes up has a full count. So basically one pitch. So if you remember, 3 ones, one out, one pitch, and the last runner, which was your last runner, the one runner on second. Okay? So it's really simple. Now, during the playoffs, we do not do the California rule. Once we do the playoffs, we continue to play regular kickball like we would any other time. Now, a couple things you need to know about the California rule. 2 innings max. You can only play 2 innings max. You play the first inning. The visiting team plays, kicks, the home team kicks. We still have a tie game. We'll play one more inning. If you don't have a tie game after the first inning, then we have a winner. So if the visiting team scored 1, the home team didn't score after the first extra inning, then that's the ball game. Or vice versa, the home team scored, the visiting team didn't score. That's the ball game. If we have a tie, we play one more inning. If we have a tie after the second inning, that's the ball game. We now have a tied game. Again, remember, that's only during the regular season. Last kicker on second, 1-1 count. 2-2 count, meaning 1 pitch and 1 out. 2-2 count, not 1-1. 2-2 count, 1 pitch and 1 out.